What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Do That But Better. I'm Zach, here with my brother Eric, younger but less good looking. Fact.
Highly debatable.
Um, well, I was recently just told that me and Natalie looked like we are young and free. We were at a conference, and it was with some affiliate owners, and they they had said something about how they have kids and blah blah blah. And Natalie's like, "Oh yeah, we got four." And they're like, "What? I thought that you were like young and free." I was like, "Nope, not at all. Not young, not free." But yeah. So Eric, you've been doing nutrition thing for a while, all right?
Yep.
And we've been talking about scaling. We've been talking about fundamentals. Starting with the basics. What are you doing right now with nutrition? Like, are you following any kind of rules, diet, anything like that?
My own normal rules,
What's
which
that?
uh, eat mostly real food, right? Like, because eventually, over time of trying different things, you find what works for you. And so then
Hmm.
it's not a diet. You aren't following these rules. You're just eating,
Yeah.
right? And that's the goal. So, I mean, I do have my routines, which is I work out in the morning, so I'll usually have a protein shake after that, and then I typically don't eat until around 12 or 1,
Hmm.
and then I'll have like a bigger meal, usually like eggs, veggies, um, a lot of times whatever leftovers are around, um, and then dinner.
All right. Wait. So
It's all very straightforward.
so you're basically like a protein shake and then like two meals kind of thing? Is that what
Yep,
you said? Okay. And um, what got you to that point?
a lot of experience.
Yeah. So tell me
Yeah.
about that. Like, what kind of things have you done, and what made you settle on 2.5 meals a day?
Well, it started as necessity, basically. Like when you're coaching early classes, you I you don't get a break until usually between the morning classes and the noon.
Hmm.
So then when I would usually work out and then eat and then get back for the noon, and I realized that I really liked that. Like I if I eat earlier in the morning, then I feel like I'm hungry all day. Like it doesn't matter if I've eaten or not, like I'm just craving.
Hmm.
So having a bigger meal later, I feel full and satisfied longer.
Yeah.
That's just when I feel best is eating later.
Huh. Interesting. I I would say I'm exactly the opposite. So it doesn't matter. Like, even if I was gonna work out at 5 a.m., I'm gonna have a big breakfast before I work out. So like I wake up and I'm gonna walk to the refrigerator and start cooking. And like for me, I'll do between like 2 and 3 meals, but I will front load the crap out of my breakfast with protein and vegetables. I'll usually have like maybe about a half a cup of egg whites, like two or three eggs, some spinach, mushrooms, like so some kind of vegetable, something like that. It'll usually be about like at least like 4 cups or so of vegetables. Luckily, I usually do spinach, so it ends up shrinking down to just about this. But so just because I'm like, all right, during the day, I don't necessarily feel obligated to eat. And now sometimes I will stop and have some lunch, which will usually be some chicken, some tuna, nothing crazy. I might have a piece of fruit, and then I'll usually have dinner. And my dinner, like you said, it's going to be like some kind of meat and vegetables. Like we have Taco Tuesday, we have salmon on Mondays, we have stuff like that.
Hmm.
But it'll be more. more protein and stuff like that. And then I'll have my occasional, like, we'll have rice, or with the tacos, I'll have some tortillas, or I might have some chips, or like, we'll usually on Taco Tuesday we'll have some El Milagro chips. That's a necessity. But yeah, like you said, it's um, like what I do and what I've done has been a big process, and I think that it's very easy to look at nutrition and see diets and see labels and things like that, and go, all right, I'm going to do this thing, right? I'm going to be keto. I'm going to be paleo. I'm going to be what are some other, even vegetarian, vegan,
Yeah.
whatever you want to label.
Carnivore.
I almost just fell down the stairs. I'm st- I'm standing next to the stairs, and I was a little bit too close. That would have been great. Oh! Um, but anyways, you look at these things and you go, "Hey, I'm eating healthy. I should be losing weight. I should be feeling great. I whatever." But one of the biggest problems is that any of these labels aren't looking at necessarily the fundamentals of why they are beneficial. And if you can go and go, "Hey, I'm gonna do keto." So you go and find all the keto bars in GNC, and you're like, "Hey, I'm keto," or you're just eating buckets of guacamole, and you're like, I think I'm doing pretty well." But number one, if your food is starting with labels, right, and it has claims, like if it says with protein, if it if it says, vegetarian or whatever, it's probably not the first things that you should be going for.
Hmm. Right. I think if you look at all of the different diets, and if you're considering one, or any, oh fly, um, think of it as descriptive versus prescriptive. Right? Most diets are framed as a prescription of do these exact things to get what you want. And I think if you think of them as descriptive, of like they are describing a way to essentially eat fewer calories than you're burning,
Right.
right? Uh, then you've got a lot more leeway, and you can start to see the similarities and the overlap of like, okay, what is the why does keto describe a way of losing weight and being healthy, and paleo and carnivore and whatever else, whatever other diet you're looking at? Why do all of these describe, or what do all of them describe that like overlaps?
Mhm.
Right? So if you think of it as descriptive of a way to eat to be healthy and get the weight off and to be strong and whatever, now you've got a better paradigm of approaching these things that helps you to answer questions for yourself, to customize and personalize it, find the things that work for you versus just doing what someone else told you worked for them. Because obviously, I mean, like we're saying right now, both of us have been doing this for a decade
Yeah,
more
for sure.
and have come to different conclusions of like what works best for us.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like for me, getting probably getting into really like studying nutrition. Um, I feel like every 5 years at a minimum, it's changing. And when I first started doing it, it was like I didn't have to think very much. I like, it was like paleo. All right, meat and vegetables,
Mm.
and um, and I was working out a ton, right? So I would do my normal CrossFit workout, but then I was doing so much experimenting, and it was like I just wanted to do more. And so I was working out probably multiple hours a day and pretty hard, right? It was like everything was full send at that time. And number one, it was like, all right, I can't, like, just with responsibilities and age and things like that. My activity level is probably lower. Actually, it's not even probably. It is lower. Is I'm going to do one workout a day, right? So the
Yep.
amount of food that I need is way less, right? So even though I found something that worked really great for me, and it was like, hey, I lost like over 40 pounds, and I was feeling lean, and I was feeling athletic and whatever. All of a sudden, I could be eating the same thing, and now I needed to adjust it, right? Um, there was a time where I was doing a lot of heavy lifting. Um, Actually, I mean, so when I was doing like the Olympic lifting with Travis Mash, dude, that was like an hour and a half to 2 hours of heavy everything. It was insane. And so like the amount of food that I could eat and the amount of carbohydrates that I needed to recover, it totally changed. And so I went from being very, very clean and like little little grains and starches and things like that to a lot of them. And I needed them, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, just like yeah, with aid, it's like, man, I don't even need that much food anymore, you know.
Yep.
And it, like I said, it just keeps on adjusting.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I did the same thing where, man, I would eat probably, I mean, depending on the size, probably like two or three potatoes a day with however many eggs and like half an onion and half a pepper and like, drinking protein shake and milk and cheese and like all that stuff. And then when I stopped working out that way, the food habit kept going.
Yes.
And then there's a point where I'm like, wait a minute, why am I eating like someone who's working out 2 hours a day?
Yeah,
that that can't continue.
for sure. Well, all right. So let's like now if we take it to all right, what do we need to do? Because you were talking about principles, right? And
Hmm.
there's a saying, and I can't remember how it goes now, but it's like the methods are many, but principles are few. And
Yep.
once you have the principles, you can choose anyhow, right? And but yeah, like so I my how is going to change depending on how often I'm working out. Just maybe my metabolism, maybe whatever the heck it is. But it's always
Hmm.
going to come down to a few things. And so number one, when you're looking for quality, health, etc., we need to have quality foods first, right?
Yep.
So eating whole and processed foods, and I think that this is one big thing that we like when people get into a new diet or nutrition in general, they don't actually know what to eat. Like because you go, hey, I'm going to start doing this thing, and it's like, have you ate that before? And
Right.
have you like what are the vegetables that you actually eat? What are like how do they affect you? Right? You're like, oh, I'm going to eat Brussels sprouts because my mom said that they were good. It's like, well, do they make you feel like crap? And do you know how to prepare them? And do you know how much to prepare? Right?
Right.
And so now that's going to bring you into calories, right? And so you got quality. Hey, I need to eat real food, eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar, right?
But you know what? Even on quality,
Hmm.
I think, we're talking about scaling. And last week we were talking about scaling movement.
Yeah.
And, a big issue with exercise and movement is crappy information,
Hmm.
right? Like, how many people believe that squatting below parallel is dangerous?
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. How many people think that Cheerios are a quality choice?
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. And in fact, I pulled this up. Did you see this food compass that was released recently? So
No.
these
Wait, a food
researchers,
compass?
the food compass, yeah.
Okay.
These researchers at Tufts University put
Yeah.
together whatever algorithm that accounts for all these things, and it gives each food a score. And so here, let me tell you, let's see. So it's a score from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
At the top with a score of 100, watermelon and kale. The food right below that on this list is
Yeah.
frosted mini wheats with 87.
What?
Yep. Honey Nut Cheerios, 76. Right below that is dates. They have the like same score. And those are all green foods, so those should be encouraged. Then you've got yellow foods. Let's see. Egg substitute fried in vegetable oil is up above skinless chicken breast, which is just 1 point above Lucky Charms.
What?
And then down at the bottom, they've got three red foods listed
Mm-hmm.
that should be avoided. A whole egg fried in butter has a
Huh.
score of 29 out of 100. Cheddar cheese gets a score of 28. And ground beef is at the bottom with a score of 26.
What in the world?
So, if you are looking for quality food and you're like, hey, uh, in fact, I think the government is promoting these food scores, I'm like, here's quality food.
Now, so like, what were? Do you know what they were basing the quality on?
Yeah, let's see. It's nutrient ratios, vitamins, minerals, food-based ingredients, additives, processing, specific lipids, so what fats are included,
Hmm.
fiber and protein, and phytochemicals. But those are all weighted differently
Yeah.
in their measurement, and so whatever those weights are, you end up with these scores that if you take this as good information about what quality food is, you're going to be in a rough spot.
Yeah. And well, and man, first of all, I'm just furious. But like,
I know.
I don't even know what to think here. I mean, especially, get whole foods, right? Things that your great grandmother recognized as foods. Like, so no riboflavins and like, you know, there shouldn't be a label with multiple things in this food because you should be able to pick it and grow it and kill it or whatever you need to do, right? And uh and then yeah, I mean you're I'm dumbfounded by this. I wish you wouldn't have told me. But
Yeah,
yeah, like so now you get the idea that hey, so you go, well, this is healthy. And it's the same thing, you've probably seen plenty of things where it's like, well, a glass of wine is great. And it's like, well, like in what instance and how is it beneficial for you? And I'm not even saying that wine is good, bad, indifferent. It's like, what context do we have here?
right.
And I'm going to tell you that most com in most contexts, number one, eating real stuff is going to be most beneficial.
Yeah,
So finding those first.
yeah. And I'd say, general rule, if you're wondering, let's see, like what what diet or what way of eating is best or what foods are quality foods, ask people who look the way you want to look, who are doing the thing that you want to do, versus an appointed health official who clearly is not healthy,
Right,
or people
man.
who are paid by a company to sell a food as
Yeah.
healthy.
Well, I'll tell you what. Like, so let's go back to like just quality food, right? And so eating real, whole, unprocessed foods. Lots of times people go, all right, that sounds pretty easy. But this is not as easy as you might think, right? So if you go and get food from a restaurant, from fast food, like anything like that, you're going to have mainly processed foods, right? If you are buying packaged things, all right, these are going to be some type of processed foods. And and so now it's like, what do I eat? Do I know how to shop,
Yep.
right? Do I know how to prepare this food that, although I was eating it in some form, right? It's like I was eating this McDonald's hamburger, but like, do I know how to cook this? Do I know how to season it? Do I name your thing here, right?
Right.
You know, if your plate usually looks like a I don't know, like a Italian sausage sandwich with French fries, right? Then all right, what do I have instead?
Right. And
And
even especially in the, you know, like you're saying, like in the context of scaling your food, it really is like, how can this be 1% better?
mhm,
How can it be a little bit closer to all unprocessed?
yeah,
So if you're typically having a bologna sandwich for lunch with like mayo, can you know, trade out mayo for mustard or make your own mayo?
yeah,
Can
mm,
you switch your bologna to whatever, a chicken or turkey,
right,
right? Can you take whatever you'd put on your sandwich and put it into a salad instead?
yeah. I'll tell you what, that's especially hard, especially when you start looking at grains, dairy, right? Which are some type of process because you can't just go pick that or grow it, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, you can grow wheat, but you have to, I don't know, what do you shuck it? I don't know. I don't know what you do with wheat to make it edible. But but yeah, so you know, finding, yeah, all right. Oh, I just throw it on top of some vegetables. And shoot, I'll tell you what, try and go a day without dairy, right? With some kind of cheese or like something. That is
Hmm.
really freaking hard. And so, you know, especially if you were gonna, like, lots of times people go, I'm just not gonna have these things. It's like, well, what if that's everything that you eat? My kids, they will eat grilled cheese in some fashion for every single meal for the rest of their life if I didn't stop them, right? It's
Yep.
like, hey, I want macaroni and cheese. I want Alfredo pasta. I want like a quesadilla, a grilled cheese, a hamburger. It's grilled cheese in some fashion all the time, and that is pretty much all they want to eat. And I don't think that most people are much different. It tastes friggin' delicious, and it's very easy to come by.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
But
And so, you
so
know, looking at that
finding those
stuff,
things.
yeah, how do you start shifting it? So you don't have to be like, oh, well, Eric and Zach do this, so I'm going to start doing that. It's not going to work. Like I said, like you have those habits that you're used to and have been doing for a long time. You're not going to break those overnight.
Yeah,
What you can do is change one small thing.
yeah, yeah. I like that. So well, so you gave the idea of you know, instead of having it on a sandwich, I'm going to put it on vegetables, right?
Hmm.
Maybe you're still going to go out to eat, and you just say, I'm going to have a hamburger without a bun, or you could even Italian beef on top of a salad, right? Um,
Totally.
you know, just
A lot of
throw.
times, a lot of restaurants, whatever their like specialty sandwich is,
Mhm.
a lot of times they have a salad of
Yeah,
like like some fancy like buffalo chicken sandwich. They have the exact same buffalo chicken salad, and a lot of times it's massive and should probably be two meals.
yeah.
Also,
Or you know, or or you can even just ask them. They have the ingredients there. Just say, can you put this? It like, and sometimes they might go no, and it's like, so for no amount of money, you would put these vegetables on top of, or this meat on top of those vegetables. You know what I mean? And they'll usually do it for you.
yeah.
But so all right, so scaling that food, and so going vegetables and meat, or just changing one thing or another, and then you know, going from there. Like, so if I'm doing that really well, then we can start looking into portions, right? Because like, number one, calories are going to be important, But we need to, cool. Uh, got visitors. Um, so like calories are going to be important, and if we're eating good food, now we can start looking into how do we find out if I'm eating the right amounts, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you go about that?
Well, I mean, you could calculate your macros and your calories and start counting them. The other way would be to uh, eat a little bit less and see what happens.
Well, so now how do you define less? I think that this is a big stumbling block. People go,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'm eating less bread," or "I'm eating smaller portions." It's like compared to what? Were you measuring your portions in the first place?
right. Yeah, exactly. And that's where people have to start. At some point, you're going to have to keep track of everything that you eat and drink.
Hmm.
Even if you do it for 1 week, it gives you a baseline of like, oh, that's how much I'm eating.
Right.
You can take pictures, you can write it down in a notebook, weigh and measure it, whatever's going to work for you. But you've got to pay attention because even if you're like, okay, I'm going to eat less, and so you put less on your plate, your body knows, and your body does not want to change. So you might start snacking a little bit while you're cooking, or stop in the fridge and take a couple bites. It wasn't on a plate, so it doesn't count.
Yep, those are
Right? Or,
stand. I always called those stand up calories. Now he's like,
yeah,
"Are you
exactly.
measuring that?" I'm like, "Doesn't count. I'm standing up."
I'm on the go. I'm
Yeah,
burning it at the same time. But yeah, like you're going to have to start paying attention to that stuff. You can use hand measurements. I know we talk about that all the time, like using your hand, protein, uh, veggies, carbs are a cupped handful, fats are your thumb, and keep track of how many servings of each thing you're actually having. People use smaller dishes, a way of
yeah,
like kind of tricking yourself into it. Um, but yeah, there at some point, if you as you change the quality, odds are you're going to start losing weight. And then there will come a time where you're not losing weight anymore, even though you've changed quality, and now you've got to look at quantity.
yeah. Yeah, your processed foods are just going to be more calorically dense. So you're going to have less food with more calories, and that is how you're going to be gaining weight.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, working with someone on nutrition, so we had everything measured, right? And they were going to be going on vacation, and they're like, when I go here, I like to get Whataburger. It's like I like my number five. I haven't had it in forever, and it's like, yeah, go ahead and have it. And the best thing was because we had been measuring and we knew what things like how much food we should be getting and in what macro allotments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was like, yeah, just get the nutrition facts, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, like this one thing is going to be almost all my food for the day, right? It's like I'm gonna get like a piece of lettuce and an egg white for the rest of the day because I'm going over on my calories, right? And and my macronutrients are all kinds of crazy now, right? Because just lots of fat, lots of carbs, and lots of times just finding uh, what what things cost, right? And what we're actually doing, because if you are eating these things, it's it's usually like you go, I only had one meal today. It's like, yeah, that was the problem, right?
Yep.
That meal was the problem.
Yeah, man, I wonder. I mean, if you got even just a regular like bacon cheeseburger at Culver's, their
Yeah.
butter burger, or a double with cheese curds and whatever, like,
Oh my god. Yeah.
oh,
I can't imagine the things that I used to smash. Like, man, in high school, we used to get the like because we had the Burger King right across the street from our high school, and we would get the coupon packs, and it would be like it would be like 5 for 5 Whoppers, or something like that. And so I get five because I could. And then it was like, all right, and you get some fries, and it was like, all right, and I'm gonna get like all these fries. Or I remember there was the chicken sandwich that they had with the mayonnaise, and which was freaking delicious. And it would be like 5 for 5, and it's like
Yeah.
I'll have five. I can easily eat five.
That was Monday pizza days. We'd get Sicilian Joes,
All right.
which they were made the night before. So they'd cool down and there was just a pool of grease in the middle. And I would eat a whole BLT pizza
Oh man.
for lunch and then have a basketball game that night.
It
Oh,
was yeah,
yeah,
it is ridiculous, some of the things that we do with and they're easy things to do, and if you don't know it, then it doesn't seem like too big of a deal.
right. Well, and you get away with that stuff in high school and college maybe,
Hmm.
and then it's a habit.
Right.
That's the tricky thing, is that it's like, well, I've always done this. It's totally fine. And then it's not.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, we've got all right, so starting with quality food, you will need to measure, but remember to always start with these basics, right?
Right.
And get back to uh, find out, how do I eat real food? What are the foods that I will eat? And the thing is that you're not going to do this perfectly. Number one, probably ever, but definitely not right off the bat, right?
Right. Like we said, it's a scale, just like, squatting to a box and then squatting to a med ball and then squatting with a barbell, and then, 1 rep max back squat, right? Like it's scalable. So if you've never paid attention to what you're eating, okay, maybe you get a rotisserie chicken once a week and you use
Mhm.
that for your lunches, or like canned tuna, canned chicken, so that it's an actual food and it's easy access, right?
Yeah.
And then you start cooking your own chicken once a week and having that ready for your lunches. And then you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should eat some more vegetables. Can I just get carrots and celery that I don't have to cook? I don't have to prepare. I just grab it and eat it. Or cucumbers, or whatever, something that you
I was
like.
gonna say, you just picked the two. Those are like my two least favorite vegetables that
Oh, it's
ever.
great.
Carrots are
I
the worst. Don't eat them. And
what?
celery, that is just like that's hard water with hair.
Yeah, exactly. Low calorie, high nutrition, and you don't have to cook it. You just crunch it.
Actually, I'll take that back. Celery is great in a roast.
That's true. Yeah.
Only time that is good. But carrots still suck.
That's crazy. They're
They
sweet.
shouldn't. They
They're
shouldn't even
delicious.
be a. Yeah, whatever. And Natalie loves carrots, and if she eats raw carrots, she gets hiccups for like 6 days. And I try to never uh, buy carrots, and she comes home with them all the time. She gets hiccups, and I'm like, stop it,
So,
stop eating
okay, so
carrots.
Zach has a personal vendetta against carrots.
Yes, carrots should be
But,
off the
okay,
food list
find an
in
easy
general.
vegetable. Even lettuce. I think there's you assume that you have to make lettuce into a salad, but you can just grab a leaf and eat it. Or,
True,
I'll like
I cook
grab
it.
like meat and just roll it up, mustard, eat it.
Yeah,
Easy snack.
I love iceberg lettuce for that. And I think it's so funny that there's like a vendetta against iceberg lettuce. Like, so iceberg lettuce is the best taco lettuce, number one. All right.
That's fair.
And I love that people go, it has no nutritional value. And it's like, stop going to McDonald's. Like, and then tell me about iceberg lettuce. Because like, just eat the freaking iceberg lettuce, for goodness sake. And
It was
and then people say it's like having water. It's like, you should probably have more of that too. So eat your freaking iceberg lettuce, please.
it was probably a marketing campaign by the baby spinach people. And the spring mix boxes. Like
Yeah.
We need to take that market share from Iceberg.
Yeah, it is like such a joke. But yeah, so find those things that you can do and scale it. Start with one little thing. If you can do this for um, for 3 weeks, like you said with the rotisserie chicken, or having some lettuce in the fridge and actually eat it, and keep moving from that, and don't assume that everything is going to be perfect uh, right away, because you are changing habits and you're testing. It is a like you said, we're 10 years into this and still changing things,
Yep.
and I assume it's going to keep changing.
Yeah, it's all an experiment.
Yeah,
That makes it easier.
you're
When you
you're
think
good.
like
Like,
I'm
as
I'm not
as you get
shooting
older,
this.
Eric, as you
Yeah.
get older, you'll start to realize that carrots are the worst thing ever, and nobody should be eating them.
No, never.
I'm just a few years ahead of you.
I don't have the hiccups problem. So they're more
Yeah,
enjoyable.
but yeah. So start with something. Find how you can eat more real food. Find out how you can prepare it. Making it easier. Convenience is always a factor when it comes to eating better. Remove labels. If you're looking at something and going, is this healthy? You don't have to look for protein. You don't have to look for anything on the nutrition label. You just go, oh, that was a real food,
Yep.
right? And then find out how to prepare it. How do you like it? How do you like it different ways? Most of the food that we eat is going to be the same crap, just seasoned a different way, right? It's going to be chicken, beef, pork, fish, and are there any other meats that people usually eat?
Eggs.
Eggs,
Turkey.
right? Then you're going to have lettuce, zucchini, tomatoes, onions, mushrooms, spinach, iceberg lettuce, not carrots, and green beans and cauliflower, broccoli, right? And those are the things that most people are going to be eating. And then you're going to have your one-offs where you're having these other things, and that's totally fine too. But find out how you can eat some of those things, and then we can start getting into, all right, how much of that am I eating? And so this is going to be a long process.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's a lifelong process because that's how long you'll be eating.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But yeah, so like we said, like you're starting with that quality. Where can I add some real whole foods that have not been processed? Or,
Right.
you know, like I said, even like canned chicken or tuna or salmon, like it's still a whole food and you're one step closer. And then, once you've dialed in your quality, then you start looking at quantity, right? That's the next notch on the scale, right? And then you start really dialing in with macros and whatnot. So depending on where you are in your nutrition right now, you you want to continue keep to scale up one step at a time.
Yeah, because if you're eating off that compass list, it's not going to go well. It's really hard to fit your macros or calories if you're eating Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
So there you go. Don't eat Lucky Charms or carrots.
Yep.
All right. I think that sums it up pretty well.
Basically.
All right, Eric, I will see you next week for Do That But Better at 11:30, and we'll see you guys soon.
All right. See ya.